Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. We didn't do a video last week, so we're going to do two this week. Schedules didn't permit. Mostly my tripod took the day off. That was the problem. So, tripod's back. Hi, tripod. He gave me the eyebrow raise. So, we're still on forms. It's still April. And we're going to talk about a form, I don't know, you may or may not use. But I'm going to tell you why you may want to use it. It's the short-term leaseback agreement. So what is this form? What do we use it for? Well, this is for when that seller, and this is happening a lot lately, when that seller sells their home pretty quickly and wants to stay or needs to stay in the home for some reason. So that happens, right? A lot of times you just put it in the repsy. They'll stay for 48 hours. They'll stay for whatever. And does that work? Sure, that can work. Yeah. Are there problems that can arise? Yeah, definitely. Right? What if the seller doesn't leave? What if there wasn't damage when you did your walkthrough as a buyer, but 4 days after possession, or not possession, because possession hasn't changed hands. 4 days after closing, when the seller's leaving, buyer finds significant damage. What if something happens? Water heater blows up. So it was fine at closing, but seller's still occupying the home, and then as they're occupying, getting ready to leave, something catastrophic goes wrong. Flooding, fire, some utilities break, some washing machine breaks, the dishwasher breaks. Seller says, it was fine when we closed. That's just ordinary wear and tear, and guess what? You're the owner now. Of course, buyer's going to say, you owe me. You got to put it in the same condition it was in prior to, when we went under contract. So who's right? Well, you got a little bit of an argument on your hands. Really, buyer becomes somewhat of a landlord of sorts. So the short-term leaseback agreement contemplates a few of these things. First of all, it gives you a term of lease. So a definite term of this is when you're going to be gone. Rent. You can establish some rent. Why is that important? Well, if they're a holdover tenant, they don't leave when they're supposed to. There are laws that tie your damages to the amount of rent. So if there's nothing there, it's a little bit harder to get the damages established. Security deposit. A good one to think about. Just have a security deposit. It's a lot easier to get that money from a deposit than it is from a person who's now moved to Kentucky. And you're trying to get that money for those damages that they caused on their way out. And guess what? Sellers they have all their money. They've already closed. So they got all the money from the purchase. They're not very motivated to make things right. It also hits like what's included in the rent, what utilities are included, what are not. So what's the buyer responsible for, what's the seller responsible for. And then it hits insurance. Basically, what it says about insurance is that the buyer and seller will talk to their insurance agents and discuss and then decide what they find reasonable. And they got to decide on those terms before buyer allows the seller to lease back the property for however long. But that's a good one to talk about, because you can have that question of what if a water main breaks after closing but prior to delivery. Whose insurance covers that, and who wants to be responsible for that? So, good. There are a lot of good issues that this form contemplates. So, what's the magic number? When do you use it? When do you not? 48 hours, is that the magic number? Bottom line is, it's helpful no matter how short a time. Now, it is. Are you going to collect deposits and rent for 1 day? Maybe not. You can decide how long you want to push it. But certainly pushing it out 3, 4, 5 days, you start to get into bigger probability that something can go wrong in that amount of time. The condition of the property can change in that amount of time. So something to think about. No, that form is there. Is it for every scenario where a seller stays in the property? No, but it's a helpful one to know about. So if you see a situation you're uncomfortable with, you can discuss it with the buyer and have that form as a tool ready to help your client out. Hopefully that helps. We will post this as quick as we can, and then we'll post another one this week. Thanks for tuning in.